Yelikas Lahamas Lopalatle, New Guam Odi Guys Laka Kukusu to do Kukwatlis, Muskabog, Zaudeno, Gelikas Lamusquium, Slavatu, Squatmish, Lach Yuchtamas, Wheatla Megans, Nunwakolas, Quatnala. My traditional name is Odi. I'm the elected chief councillor of the Kwekwasu Tinu Kukwatmis First Nation. And don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to try and say that. Today, I'm wearing the hat as the Vice President of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. And I'm here to witness the tenacity of Canadians that understand the importance of a good environment that's going to sustain life. Nothing less than sustaining of life. And you each represent a piece of that. Yeah. We've come to terms, and we're starting to perhaps wake up now, the governments. They're starting to have discussions of global warming. You do not have to look far to see the examples of global warming and the critical need for some substantial changes in this world that we live in. And changes in terms of how we view energy, and more than just burning of oil and gas, but starting to look at renewable energies, green energies, truthfully green energies, and start upholding the values that First Nations peoples have had since the beginning of time here in Canada. Yeah. I was fortunate that I was on the Lelu Island, standing with the hereditary chief there, and to stand and witness how they've decided that this industry is not welcome in their territory. Their peoples have turned down over $1 billion offer because they care. It is because they have a long-term view of their people's needs, and that comes down to wild salmon for that part of the region. And this is what Canadians need to understand now. With the Liberal government making commitments to enact the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, we are now talking about free, prior, and informed consent. This is an international bare minimum starting point. And so this is what all First Nation leadership across this country are viewing, that this government has made some commitments. We stand and we line up and we want to work and we want to do what is just. We want to do what is right. And as First Nations make the proper steps forward to look after the traditional territories that we have, we all must band together. Just as we are today, just as we are globally standing up and talking about global warming and the reality of it. It is our work to do. It is our work to ensure that the governments respond accordingly to the majority of us who wish to see it so. And so this is the work that we have to do with one another. When I think of the government's denial of Aboriginal rights historically since the beginning of this country, a country based upon racism, we now, in their courts, have enough rulings where they're starting to understand the rights of our people. Rights that we have known without question since the beginning of time in these territories. But now we are standing and organizing and making sure that our voice is heard in the full width of the legal room that the courts have provided for the government these days. And now, after 10 long, dark, cold years of the Harper government, who voted him out? That was you, right? We must not lose sight of that, because we have a provincial election coming up. Right? And it's time for us to start thinking about what we can do here and what is the hurdles in British Columbia. I have a tweet here from Richard Zussman that says Christy Clark won't make any commitment to increase BC carbon tax to show province's commitment to carbon pricing. This, my friends, is business as usual. This is what the message we have to counter and say, no, this is not on. We will stand united. We will find the path to look after the environment, because they've lost sight of some very key things. They've lost sight of the importance of being able to breathe air. Yes. They've lost sight of being able to drink water to sustain life and to sustain the fish and everything else that we rely upon. They see it as an inconvenience. We know it as First Nations people. It's far too well known, the poverty that's found in our communities. And when this reality is explored a little bit deeper, you find that we are incredibly dependent upon the traditional foods of our people. And when we talk about global warming, we talk about the ice roads not being there for transportation of things, the warming of the waters, the lack of food for salmon and so forth. It is going to be First Nations that are going to be on the front line of suffering yet again within this democracy of Canada. And so now we are going to take our rightful place. We will stand in a very clear and direct way and demand to be worked with, to demand to be heard, listened to, and to have our views for our lands respected. We have a number of commitments that have been put in front of us as Canadian, and this is the new government's promise to each and every one of you. Our job is to keep an eye on them and make sure that those promises come true. Our job is to organize ourselves to be a part of the process that is going to affect that change and hold the government to their words. Because we've now listened to some promises which look like great big rays of sunshine after the dark period of Harper. But now we must do the work, and we must show up as we are here today, and we must seek understanding of the issues and talk of the solutions that we all want. It is, we've moved past the point of pointing and complaining about something. We have collectively every answer that this globe needs, and we can arrive at those solutions, and we can organize and present those solutions to the governments and industries, and we can make this world a better place. And I'm not sure about what you're doing for the next while, but I'm going to be doing that work with you, and we're going to make sure the government lives up to the offers and commitments and the promises that they've made to be sitting as a majority government, your majority government. So let's make them work for us and let them remember we voted them in, and let's hope that we can look and watch Christy Clark go down the road next. Right?